Hello everyone, John Frausto with Topspin Tennis. Have you ever wondered what's the easiest way to learn or teach the forehand loop? I'm going to show you in this video 3 magic moves on how to do this. Enjoy the video. In the video I have Novak Djokovic. Absolutely love his forehand. We're going to break down these 3 magic moves. The first move to be mindful of is show the strings to the ball. So in this position, Novak was in a neutral position. Notice how the racket head is tilted forward in front of the hands. That's just the natural position from the ready position. Then watch this first move. The video was shot at 240 frames per second, so we get a lot of details. I don't know about you, I'm a visual learner. It seemed to me that when I was growing up, I could watch the pros, some of the better players, and I could simulate what they were doing and be able to teach myself. So I'm a fan of video. I learn a lot from watching it. So when we have 240 frames per second here, we see a lot of details. The first move here is just to show the strings to the ball. So notice in this position how the racket is tilted forward a little bit, but when I'm teaching students or visualizing this, I actually feel as if my strings are showing to the ball. Someone like Federer would be a little bit more vertical here with the racket head. Djokovic tilts that racket forward a little bit, but I love this position. So magic move number 1 is we show those strings to the ball. Now to get into this position, what Novak's doing is both hands are on the racket. He's adjusted to his forehand grip, which is a semi-western grip. And basically what he's doing is he's just utilizing his hips and shoulders to rotate and get into this position. There's not a lot of moving parts. Everything is kind of working in unison in this position. Let's look at magic move number 2. We go ahead and progress the video. Boom, right there. So magic move number 1 is you show the strings to the ball. I'm going to reference the strings every time with these 3 magic moves. It's a great way for me to kind of have an idea where the racket is, and it gets me into these positions every time. The second position or magic move is just to show the strings to the side fence or side wall. So notice here in this position, strings are facing to the side. The racket head is still tilted, so that tells me that it's basically just a solid unit turn where he's using his hips and shoulders to rotate and show the strings to the side fence. One position you want to be aware of is notice how the non-hitting hand is still on the racket. So in magic move number 2, you're going to rotate. Hips and shoulders are really going to initiate this position, and then we always like to reference the hitting hand is going to be right around shoulder height. I had a question from one of my subscribers asking, you know, how do I, it seems like when I'm working on my loop, you know, I'm a little bit late. You know, I'm having issues with getting the racket back and I feel like I'm rushed for time. The best way to really get into this position is to just use your hips and shoulders to set that racket or set that right side of the body. If you're trying to do it all with your hand or with your arm or your elbow, you're going to be in trouble. Make sure all moving parts are working in unison and we're really using that uniturn to get into this position. One thing to keep in mind too is Novak is in a neutral to offensive position here. So if you see his hitting hand, how it's just above the shoulder height, he obviously has a little bit more time here, so he's able to generate a little bit of a higher or larger loop in this position. I'm going to do another video on comparison to a offensive neutral ball that he's receiving and then a defensive ball that he's receiving, and we're going to be able to compare the loops and how they differentiate according to the incoming ball and the so there it is, full shoulder turn. Non-hitting hand would still be on the racket in this position, so keep that in mind. A lot of times we'll see players where they release that hand and then the non-hitting arm drops. Novak in this position will still have his non-hitting hand on the racket. Magic move number 3. Look at this position. Now he's showing his strings to the back fence. Signature position here. What this really is the loading phase on the forehand. So we'll look at a few checkpoints here. Racket strings are now showing to the back fence. Notice this, how the non-hitting arm is going to be in a horizontal position, and what he's doing in this position too is this non-hitting arm is actually pointing back to like 4 o'clock. So he holds, this tells me that he's holding on to that racket a little longer than most players. Depending on the speed of the ball, maybe this arm he might release more at 3 o'clock, but notice that non-hitting arm, how it's at 4 o'clock in this position. Also notice how he's starting to transfer his weight to the right foot. Here's that 90-10 ratio I like to talk about in the loading phase, where 90% of the weight will begin to be on the right foot and 10% is on the left foot. One other thing I want you to see in this third magic move is just notice how balanced Novak is in this position. This head needs to be steady. I've talked about it before, how I really kind of visualize yourself like you're balancing a book on your head. It is amazing how balanced he is. When we're balanced, we can fixate our eyes on the ball much better. And one last point to keep in mind is look at how relaxed he is. I mean, the incoming ball, who knows, it could be 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. There is no panic whatsoever in Novak's face, his grip. He is relaxed. So besides the 3 magic moves, keep that in mind. Stay loose, stay relaxed, no tension. You're going to hit so much better. All right, I hope you enjoyed these 3 magic moves. Please, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit that notification bell, and then also leave comments down below. What did you think of the video? Anything you'd like to see in the future? Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.